Younger shooters love using ballistic charts to prove a cartridge is obsolete. They will look at a screen and tell you the .308 Winchester is too slow and drops too hard. But a computer screen does not look like a dark pasture at dusk. Out past the barn, where shadows blend into the tree line, nobody cares about a perfect ballistic coefficient. If you step onto the back porch because something is tearing up the fence line, you do not need the flattest trajectory. You need a rifle that hits with absolute authority on the first shot. That is the fence line problem. It is the reality check that charts cannot measure. We are not looking at the newest tactical setups today. We are looking at 5 rifles that actually make sense for a rural property when the light is gone and you only have time to grab one gun. To understand why this caliber still commands respect, we must start with a rifle that deals with the biggest lie your land tells you. At number 5 is a rifle that represents the exact opposite of internet hype. The Savage 110 Hunter, chambered in .308 Winchester. Let us talk about a problem every rural property owner knows. Distance out here lies to you. When you are standing on the back porch looking out toward the wood line, or walking from the pasture to the far fence, your eyes play tricks on you. What looks like an easy 80-yard shot in the midday sun can easily turn out to be 160 yards when the sun drops and the shadows stretch out. A younger shooter will look at that problem and say, you need a newer, faster cartridge that flies perfectly flat. But an experienced man knows something else. You do not always need the flattest math. You need familiarity and a margin for error. The Savage 110 Hunter is the kind of bolt-action rifle that sits behind the seat of a pickup or stands in the corner of a mudroom. It is not overly tactical. It has a standard 22-inch barrel and a 4-round capacity. It is built for a man who hunts deer, checks his land, and does not feel the need to prove anything to strangers online. When we talk about the .308 Winchester in a rifle like this, we are talking about a cartridge that is not the flattest on the market today. It drops more than a 6.5 Creedmoor, but within that critical rural window of 50 to 250 yards, the Type .308 is predictable. It hits with enough authority that if you misjudge the wind slightly, or if the distance is 50 yards further than you thought, the bullet still does the heavy work. The Savage 110 action is famous for being utilitarian. It is not the smoothest action you will ever feel, but it locks up tight and fires every time you ask it to. The AccuFit stock lets you adjust the length of pull and comb height, which matters when you are wearing a thick winter coat. The trade-off is that this rifle is undeniably plain. It will not win any beauty contests, and the bolt lift can feel a little heavy compared to expensive custom actions. But that is exactly the point. The .308 was never built to win the cleanest ballistic chart. It was built for the kind of distance rural land keeps lying about. You can usually find the Savage 110 Hunter with an MSRP around $629 and a street price closer to $550. But as reliable as this setup is, it still relies on you having the time to perfectly line up that one single shot, which leads us directly to the next problem. Coming in at number 4 is the Winchester Model 70 Featherweight in .308 Winchester. Rural land does not hand out many second chances. A deer does not stand perfectly broadside waiting for you to find your breath. A wild hog does not pause in the brush so you can check your windage. When the light is bad, your boots are slipping in the mud, your hands are freezing, and your heart is beating fast, the problem is no longer about which cartridge has the highest ballistic coefficient. The problem is whether you actually believe in the rifle you are holding. Younger guys love to optimize for lower recoil and tighter groups from a bench. But an older rural hunter optimizes for first-shot confidence. The Model 70 Featherweight is a classic short-action rifle with a 22-inch barrel, holding 5 rounds and weighing just under 7 pounds. It features that beautiful walnut stock and the legendary controlled round feed action with a massive claw extractor. It looks like a traditional hunting rifle because that is exactly what it is. But chambering a lightweight rifle in .308 Winchester creates a very specific reality check. Because this rifle is light, you are going to feel the recoil. It will jump more than a heavier target gun. This setup does not forgive bad fundamentals. If you flinch, you will miss. But what it gives an experienced shooter is a level of immediate, undeniable confidence that lighter, softer shooting rounds simply do not always deliver. When you carry this rifle through the timber all day, the light weight is an absolute blessing on your shoulder. When you finally raise it to fire, You know the .308 round has the mass to punch through heavy muscle and bone, even if the angle is not perfect. The fence line test is not about having the best cartridge in perfect lighting conditions. It is about the cartridge you trust when the shot is ugly and you only get one press of the trigger. The Model 70 Featherweight has an MSRP of around $1,200, with street prices usually hovering right around $1,050. But what happens if that first shot does not put the problem down? What if there are multiple hogs tearing up the pasture and you need to send a second round fast? The internet will tell you to buy a heavy, modern tactical rifle covered in rails to solve that problem. But I am going to show you why that is a trap, and why the next rifle completely flips the script on what a fast .308 is actually supposed to look like. At number 3 is the Browning BLR chambered in .308 Winchester. If you ask a younger shooter what they would use for fast follow-up shots on a group of feral hogs, they will almost always point you straight toward an AR-10. They see it as a simple math equation. More rounds and a semi-automatic action equals a better outcome. But many older rural property owners do not want to turn every problem out in the field into a tactical exercise. They do not want to carry a 10-pound rifle covered in aluminum rails, battery-powered optics, and tactical accessories. They want a rifle that carries like a traditional hunting gun, slips easily in and out of a truck cab resting comfortably behind the seat, but still cycles faster than a standard bolt action. That is exactly where the Browning BLR steps in and breaks all the rules. It is a lever-action rifle, but it does not use a traditional tubular magazine like your grandfather's 30-30. The BLR uses a detachable box magazine. This mechanical difference is massive because it allows you to safely load modern, pointed .308 Winchester ammunition. You get the classic flat-sided handling of a lever gun combined with the full ballistic power and range of the .308 cartridge. It is an incredibly fast-handling rifle when you are moving through thick brush, tracking a wounded animal, or walking a messy fence line in the dark. The geared lever mechanism is exceptionally smooth, allowing you to cycle a fresh round without pulling your eye away from the scope. But this unique design comes with a very real trade-off. Because the trigger travels with the lever as you cycle the action, the mechanical linkage is complicated. As a result, the trigger pull on a BLR is notoriously heavy and somewhat mushy compared to a crisp bolt action like the Model 70. It is also much harder to completely disassemble and clean if you drop it in deep mud. You cannot just pull the bolt out and wipe it down in the field. But for a man who wants the authority of the .308 Winchester and the speed of a lever gun, those trade-offs are often worth it. Some men do not want a battle rifle. They just want a hunting rifle that can move fast when the situation gets ugly. The Browning BLR in .308 has an MSRP of about $1,279, and you can usually find them on the street for around $1,150. This brings us to a major turning point in how we look at these rifles. We have talked about bolt actions and lever guns, but we cannot ignore the raw power of a true semi-automatic .308. The problem is that power comes with a serious cost. Before we move up to the top 2 spots and deal with the heavy reality of those platforms, I want to know where you stand on this. Would you trust an older proven design like a bolt or lever gun, or would you still take a newer platform if things got ugly out on your property? At number 2 is the Springfield Armory M1A Scout Squad, chambered in .308 Winchester. When you start talking about stepping away from traditional bolt actions and lever guns, the conversation inevitably turns toward modern semi-automatics. A younger shooter will look at a .308 semi-automatic and see a very simple equation. They think that more power, combined with more capacity and a faster cyclic rate, automatically creates a better answer for any problem. The M1A Scout Squad is a beautiful piece of proven machinery that gives you the legendary M14 style action, but scaled down just enough to try and make it handy for civilian use. Springfield gives this model an 18-inch barrel, a forward-mounted scout rail for an extended eye relief optic, and a highly effective muzzle brake. It has that classic steel and walnut or composite feel that traditional shooters respect, avoiding the overly tactical look of a modern AR-10 while still delivering devastating semi-automatic firepower. When you actually fire this rifle, the gas operating system absorbs a significant amount of the recoil impulse. It pushes back into your shoulder rather than punching it, making it much more comfortable to shoot quickly than a lightweight bolt action. But here is the problem that younger shooters often miss when they are looking at a spec sheet. Power and capacity come with a brutal physical penalty. The .308 Winchester gives you undeniable authority, but that authority gets incredibly heavy when your truck is stuck in the mud a mile behind you, and the fence line you need to check is still another half-mile away. The rifle itself is heavy. A loaded 20-round box magazine of .308 ammunition is heavy. When you combine the two, you are lugging around a serious piece of hardware. If your fence line problem just requires you to step out onto the back porch and rest the rifle on the railing to take care of a coyote, the M1A is an absolute powerhouse. But after 4 hours of slipping on wet grass, pushing through thick brush, and crossing muddy creek beds, every single ounce of that rifle starts digging into your shoulder. You start questioning if you really needed 20 rounds and a military-grade gas system just to check the back pasture for hog tracks. The M1A also demands dedicated maintenance. You cannot just neglect the gas cylinder or let the operating rod get bone dry if you expect it to run perfectly in freezing rain. It is a commitment to carry and a commitment to maintain. It is a battle rifle that has been slightly trimmed down for property use, but it never forgets its heavy military roots. And while it is an amazing tool to have in the safe, it forces a rural owner to ask a hard question. Are you really willing to carry the weight of that authority every single time you step out the door? For a lot of older guys with bad shoulders and bad knees, the answer eventually becomes no. The M1A Scout Squad carries an M-SERP around $2,020, with street prices usually sitting near $1,800. That heavy reality brings us to the final answer on this list. Because if a semi-automatic battle rifle is too heavy and a featherweight hunting rifle kicks too hard, we have to find the perfect middle ground. At number 1 is the Ruger American Rifle Gen 2 Scout, chambered in .308 Winchester. The greatest talent of the .308 Winchester is not that it is the strongest, the newest, or the most exciting cartridge on the shelf. Its real talent is that when a situation is confusing, dirty, and unexpected, grabbing a .308 is rarely a stupid choice. The Ruger American Gen 2 Scout embodies that exact philosophy. It takes the top spot because it perfectly answers the one rifle confidence problem. Younger shooters can easily win an argument on the internet by using ballistics charts to prove a different caliber flies flatter, or a different platform holds more rounds. But an older rural owner wins the argument by asking a much simpler question. If I hear a noise out by the barn tonight, which rifle do I grab without having to think about it for more than 2 seconds? The Ruger American Gen 2 Scout is the definitive answer, because it is the ultimate practical working man's tool. It is not trying to be a precision sniper rifle, and it is not trying to be a high-volume combat weapon. Ruger built this specific model with a short, highly maneuverable 16.1-inch barrel. That means it swings incredibly fast when you are getting out of the cab of a pickup truck or moving through a tight, wooded trail in the dark. It comes with a factory-installed Picatinny rail for mounting optics, but more importantly, it comes standard with ghost ring iron sights. Out in the country, things get dropped. Scopes lose zero or get fogged up in the morning mist. Having rugged iron sights ready to go is the kind of mechanical failsafe that an experienced hunter deeply appreciates. The Gen 2 upgrades bring a durable Cerakote finish to the metal and an adjustable comb on the stock, meaning the rifle adapts to you rather than forcing you to adapt to it. It also utilizes reliable, easy-to-find ASICS pattern detachable box magazines, giving you quick reloads without the clumsy mechanics of older proprietary systems. And chambered in .308 Winchester, it maximizes the potential of that short barrel. Yes, you will lose a little bit of velocity compared to a traditional 22-inch barrel, and the muzzle blast will be noticeably louder. That is the unavoidable physical trade-off of a short barrel .308. It is not as flat shooting as a 6.5 Creedmoor, and it does not offer the overwhelming close-range devastation of a 12-gauge shotgun, but it stands perfectly in the middle of every extreme. It holds enough power to drop a heavy feral hog in its tracks, it is light enough to carry across the property all afternoon without fatigue, and it is rugged enough to survive bouncing around behind a truck seat for years. The .308 Winchester does not win because it is perfect on paper. It wins because rural problems are rarely clean, rarely fair, and almost never announced ahead of time. When the weather is awful and the light is fading, this rifle simply goes to work and solves the problem. The Ruger American Rifle Gen 2 Scout has an M-SERP of $629, and you can usually find it on the local gun shop shelf for around $550. The problem out on a rural property was never about which rifle shoots the tightest group on a sunny afternoon. It is about what you reach for when the fence line needs checking and the conditions are miserable. We looked at the Savage for handling deceptive distances, the classic Winchester for absolute first-shot confidence, the Browning lever action for fast handling, the heavy-hitting Springfield M1A, and the perfect practical balance of the Ruger Scout. The 3008 Winchester remains a staple, not because it wins internet arguments or looks good on a new ballistic chart. It remains because it is an honest, working round that solves real problems when the light fades and the weather turns bad. It gives an experienced man the quiet confidence to handle whatever is tearing up the pasture without making excuses. So what does your practical rifle look like when the screen turns off and you actually have to step out into the dark? If you're watching from the living room couch, pull out your phone, open up the YouTube app, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.